Time to talk T20 yet again. The BCA T20 playoffs continue this weekend, and the feature match will bring together Wonders and Boscobelle in the Shield final. I had a chat with Omar Phillips, the former West Indies batsman. He is based in Australia, but he's home for the time being and has played a couple of matches already for Boscobelle. So I had a bit of a chat with him about that experience and the upcoming final. The Basketball Club has been very fortunate, and they welcome you back with open arms, I understand, Omar.
Yeah, I'm always a community person, so having my mum, she was involved heavily in the club, and before she passed away, she asked me to come and help the guys and give them, some of my experiences and stuff. So I agreed. Obviously, no, she's gone, but I didn't want to let her down in soul. So we got together with a few of the sponsors of the club, and they had a vision in mind, and it was similar to what I had for the community. So it all came to plan at the last minute.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you were very close to your mom, and certainly greatly affected by her passing a few months ago. How has it been since then?
Taking it one day at a time. Sometimes it get a little tough, but I think she's very much happy what's transpired with me in the last couple of months. Been very surprising to having win some awards that I wasn't even looking forward to, but I think she'd be very proud, and she would want me to carry on the legacy and what she believed in. So I think she'd be very proud looking down on me and my sister and the family.
Well, I can imagine the pride, the fact that you've made it to the finals, and you will be playing in that final, I believe, yourself on Saturday.
Yeah, first time with the club and having reached the finals is a fantastic achievement. I was very, very shocked to see the level of talent that they have at this level and how the guys actually work hard at training and stuff. So it's very surprising and very pleasing at the same time to see youngsters wanting to challenge themselves and very competitive at training, something that I haven't seen for a long time, especially in Barbados. So it's very, very good. I think Alison Bob is doing a very, very good job at the moment, because I remember when I asked him to take over at the club, he probably was like, it was too early for him to step down, but he has taken over, done a fantastic job with the group, has a tremendous work ethic with the boys, and they're enjoying cricket like if they're playing at a higher level.
Mm-hmm. And you'll be up against the Wonder side, but before we get to that, you had a remarkable semi-final fixture last weekend.
Yeah, we Wentworth got off to a good start. It was pleasing to watch, although it was on the opposing side. They started really well. I haven't seen nothing like that in a long time. Especially only person probably would be with Dwayne Smith, and those two openers they took over, had us on the back foot. I was looking at minimum score probably 220, but after we got them out, we were happy to pull them back a long way because the pitch was awesome and it was really good to bat. When we went to the bat, it was a little different. It was a little slower, but I think our guys, the fire in their stomachs at the moment, they want to win something and want to win it really bad for my mum, as they say each week. So they got this don't die attitude, which is very good. Haven't seen that in a long time, especially in the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
I think it speaks volume for what you have inside the smaller communities.
I think it also speaks to the skill in bringing that out, because some may argue that it is within a number of young people, and it's just a matter of having the right people in place to help bring that out. And obviously, your mom would have made a contribution, and now you are also contributing. I would imagine there are others who do the same.
Yeah, I'll say I was very surprised at and they don't like to be called out or praised or whatever. They like to do this stuff in the background, which is good. They all feel the vision is to help kids not to fall away and go to to being on a block or being led astray to end up in prison or whatever the case may be. So that's what community sport is all about, and we are trying to build something like that so other communities to see a template for how to get boys like that, because it's very hard these times. Even I find like in Australia, a lot of the youngsters falling away from sport. So we're trying to bring them back in, especially the ones that know leaving school and then don't have a future in front of them. When I say future, they don't have the next step, which is to go to university or whatever, trying to help them get a job and keep them focused rather than taking the easy way out.
So tell us, you're up against Wonders. What do you expect from Wonders?
Very experienced side. We're not underestimating them. They had a very good game against the team that they played against, the St. John Culture, to get into the final. Sorry. I think no one expected it, but with a club with so much history, you've got to expect that they would be able to pull out some starts, especially with an experienced coach like Ricky Clarke. He carries out a training regime where the structure is very good. So I don't think that our boys would come and underestimate them, because in a final, everyone wants to win. So it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of guys going to be coming because they think because I played higher, the expectation will be a lot greater, but it is cricket at the end of the day. I'm just looking to enjoy it and come out victorious.
Okay, well, I can let you leave without commenting on your other team, the team that you played so much cricket for, the Sagicor UWI. And I guess I'll have to say Sagicor UWI A, although there's also a Sagicor UWI. Well, there was a Sagicor UWI B. Of course, they lost to Wildy. And now Sagicor UWI A looking to maybe take revenge in the semi-final contest.
Yeah, I went and watched them. It was kind of strange being back there after such a long time. So much things has changed, but team with a lot of history. They want to win stuff, and a lot of teams now are gearing up to beat them. So that means that the level of cricket is gonna raise to the next level. So I give them all the best. Wish them all the best in these semi-finals. I know the other team will be looking forward to give them the biggest run, and I know Miss Corbin, she would be rooting for us. So I got no choice but to root for her. Or not, since she's my second mom now. I'll be putting the dogs.
Well, I'll tell you what. Well, and I normally predict, the outcome. Try to predict the outcomes. I'm not going to put you on that spot because I know you would not have seen a lot of the cricket outside of the games that you've played for Boscobelle and one or two EWA games. But I would assume that you'll be backing Boscobelle against Wonders, and I'm assuming that you'll be backing Sagicor UWA against Wildy. So Carlton and Yorkshire, well, I guess where you're concerned, we'll have to wait and see. Conrad Hunt versus Cupid Cavaliers and BNOC versus Lords. I'll leave those to make those predictions. But we're going to put you down for UWA over Wildy and Boscobelle over Wonders. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Well, all the best to you as you participate in the big final on Saturday at Foursquare. And in fact, you should see a familiar face there involved in that game from beyond the boundary, one way holder.
Oh, thank you. What a name. What a name.
What a name.
A former cricketer to be said. I can imagine how the commentary would be.
Well, I think he's more be doing some writing. So, he'll be making his notes. So you better be careful because anything that you do or say, he'll write it and then it'll be in the paper the next day.
For sure.
Thanks a lot, Omar, for joining us on Let's Talk T20.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Ricky Clarke is the coach of the Wonders Club. And when I caught up with him on the eve of the final, he was hard at work, not preparing his players, but helping to prepare the pitch for the hosting of the semi-final in the cup competition between Carlton and Yorkshire. But he took a break from that to chat about the final between his club Wonders and Boscobelle.
Well, I'm always confident and how can I put it? Trusting in my players to do what is necessary on the big day. We have a very young, inexperienced side. We're conscious of the type of opposition that we're up against, and it's all about being able to execute on the day.
You say the type of opposition you're up against. As far as you know, tell us about the opponents, Boscobelle.
Well, what we can say is that they were the defending champions now. They've done extremely well, obviously, throughout the tournament to be again in the final. So for a team who are defending champions to continue to be very, very strong throughout the preliminaries and the quarterfinals as well as the semi-finals, we have to be very conscious that they are a very formidable opposition.
Okay, what about your own team though? Where do you see your strengths?
Well, we have a pretty all-round strength in terms of where we are at. We've been able to play pretty successfully throughout the preliminaries, quarters and semis with the combinations that we've got. Our bowling is being led by Jacob Ince, Sammy Wallace, Ronica Ross. We have Shaquan Shepherd in there as well. Romario Bradford, he also doubles up in the bowling department. We have a couple of other youngsters that are vying to be part of the final. Joshua Griffin, who's a very decent left arm seam bowler, as well as Zafan Brown, who's also a decent little spinner. In terms of our batting is being led by Leonard O'Gara, and up to the top we've been able to get the momentum for innings through Sylvester Moore, who is also the keeper. And in the middle, we've been led by Darren Cuffey, as well as Shane Murray.
How many of these players come through your youth program? We know Wonders has had a youth program for some years
Quite
now.
a lot of them have come through the program.
Mm-hmm. So how's the program going, especially given the challenges over the last couple of years with COVID?
We are on the rebound with our program. Our program took a hit just prior to COVID, and having COVID come at the end of it, we're in the rebuilding stages.
Okay. Of course, you're looking to win in the final, but you expect a close game, or you think you've got it covered?
It's all on the day. On the day, it is the team that executes the best, and we've strategized as much as we can. We've looked at some of the tactical aspects of the team, in terms of how we do our rotations, in terms of how we create the momentum of our innings. We've tried to cover all our bases, but on the day, it is all about the team that execute the best on the day. Obviously, fielding has a tremendous part to play, and we think that we are pretty good fielding unit. So I think that it should be a very good final.
Ricky Clarke, well said, and all the best in the final.
Thank you.
Time to welcome Wayne Holder once again and get his predictions on the upcoming matches for the weekend. The matches on Saturday, you've got matches in the Cup, you've got the Shield, you've got the Plate. And maybe we can start with the Barbados National Oil Company, which we know so well, up against Lords at Market Hill. And that is a semi-final in the Plate competition. Conrad Hunt up against Cupid Cavaliers at Maxwell, also a semi-final in the
Plate competition.
competition. Take it away, Wayne.
Well, you said like we know so well when you refer to BNOC because as it turns out, a very experienced team, and this experience not only has to do with having the amount of cricket or the quality cricket that they would have played, but it all has to do with the ages of a number of these players. And we would have experienced them in the Amas.
That's exactly what he said. That's why
Masters
I said what I
competition.
said.
So yes, all right. So we know them. We don't know, we must admit, we don't know a whole lot about the Lord's team, although a name like Khalid Springer, for instance, is one with which we are very, very familiar and have been familiar over the years. But Lords have done very well at this level for the past couple of seasons. And this should be a very keenly contested affair. My bias would go towards BNOC because, as I said, I know the BNOC, I know the competitive nature of that outfit. And I am going to go with my bias and choose BNOC to get over Lords in that first semi-final in the plate.
If I said to you, Wayne, that I am going to go with you on that, would you be shocked? I mean, we hardly ever seem to agree on anything.
I don't see why you would be, or why I should be.
Okay. So BNOC to win over the Lords team at Market Hill. Very expect I'll be spending a fair amount of time on Saturday as well. So I'll be able to see that firsthand.
Well, yeah, very much so.
Conrad Hunt against Cupid Cavaliers at Maxwell.
Well, we know again the Conrad Hunt team very much in the limelight as far as this competition is concerned. They would have featured in one of the most keenly anticipated contests during the preliminary rounds when they came up against the defending champions, Ipswich, and dethroned the defending champions, knocked them off their pedestal at their own home ground in Eden Lodge. And a lot of the fortunes of the Conrad Hunt Sports Club team lie with one Dale Richards, very, very well known household name in cricket in Barbados and I dare say in the Caribbean. And he has been doing tremendously well, leading this Conrad Hunt Sports Club. Lots of runs reeling off his bat, including a lightning electric century in the semi-final over the weekend gone against Melbourne. So Cupid Cavaliers, very, very competitive team, very experienced, well, a mix of youth and experience, and a really fighting unit. Ever since they transferred from the Barbados Cricket League into the BCA competitions, they have made a name for themselves. So this one is, it might not be as easy for Conrad Hunt as it may appear, but again, Dale Richards being the pivotal factor, I'm going to go with Conrad Hunt Sports Club to get home.
So that takes care of the plate competition then, the two semifinals, BNOC versus Lords at Market Hill and Conrad Hunt versus Cupid Cavaliers at Maxwell. We've also got action in the cup competition. Sagicor UWA, a very dominant force in domestic cricket over the past decade or so. And they'll be up against Wildy, a side that has played some very good cricket this season, despite the loss of a number of players. Their captain, Carlos Maynard, going overseas. They lost Zach McCaskey to UWA. And they also lost Romario Graves, and they've had their struggles in terms of
even
personnel.
Hakeem Jordan is
Hakeem
now
Jordan is unavailable, so they've had their struggles. But I saw them up to last weekend, and let me tell you, this is a competitive side.
Well,
so Sagicor, UWA, and Wildy, I expect a very competitive affair.
Wildy, a never say die outfit, and I don't think that the Sagicor UWA team, who at this juncture remains the only team not to have lost a match up to this stage, because remember Carlton in the other zone, they eventually did lose a game. But so Sagicor UWA the only team not to suffer a loss in the competition. A very, very strong outfit. I mean, looking at their batting, the batting has been their main strength, but although the bowling more than holding its own. So, but Wildy, as I said, never say die, and it was not an easy team to overcome. Actually defeated the other UWI team in the semifinals and in a fairly close contest. But on form, one would be prone to go with Sagicor UWIA, given the resources and the cricket that they have been playing up to this stage.
Well, Wayne, you're quite right, but this will decide, and I agree with you. There's absolutely nothing that you've said that is illogical. But this will decide is a side that has virtually found a way to win. I'm going to go against you, Wayne. I'm going to go with Wildy in this encounter. If I lose, I lose. But I'm gonna go with Wildy to take out Sagicor UWA.
You know, there are those who believe that, especially in a competition which comes down to a knockout format, that it is always good to play your bad game and probably lose a game before you get to the sudden death. And that is the situation with UWIA. Some may believe they are due for a bad game, and it would be quite inopportune for them if it were to happen at this stage or even in the final.
I can take nothing away from them in terms of talent, in terms of strategy, in terms of cricket. But this will decide, as I said, they tend to find a way. They've been well led by Craig Sindhill. He has had excellent support from all of the soldiers with him. I think this is going to be a real close contest. That's going to be played at Bayfield because we're dealing with neutral venues. Carlton up against IGS Insurance Brokers, Yorkshire at Darrell's Road.
Darrell's Road again, Carlton.
Be careful though, Wayne. Our friend Louis Linton is listening.
But then again, like I said, Yorkshire basically would have to be the surprise team. Out of the 4 teams making it through to the semifinals, one would have to suggest that Yorkshire is the surprise team. Although they defeated, and especially having defeated Empire in the semifinals, going to Bankhall and defeating a somewhat depleted Empire side nonetheless. But still, you would have, what was the surprise? Not so much that they won, but the ease and the comfort with which they won, with which they dismissed Empire.
I'm going to add to that, Wayne, because depleted or otherwise, over the years, I'm a bank hall man in terms of bringing and whatever you want to call it. And Empire has never been an easy side to defeat at home. So I'm not going to, trivialize in any way the performance of Yorkshire. Depleted or otherwise, fantastic job beating Empire.
But yes, and like I said, they have been the surprise team of the competition. It is interesting that the Carlton team has done as well as they have, as I mentioned, up until probably the final round of the preliminaries. They had remained unbeaten and had barely and had basically overwhelmed all of the opposition. But no real star names, none of the big names in local cricket. Although they are very well drilled at the domestic level. I mean, when you talk about the likes of, let's say, a Matthew Jones, their captain, who we recall actually performed a hat trick in the quarterfinal there against Pittwick, 4 wickets in 1 over. He has been one of those silent performers. And one of those pinions on which one of a number of pinions on which the Carlton team have rested. So although there are not a lot of big names, I was going through some statistics, Philip, and I recognized that an almost unknown Daniel Babb is the joint highest wicket taker in the competition up to this stage, and there are 1 or 2 other names not very, very, very well known They have also got the services of Lanika Boucher coming over from the UWI side, and he has made his presence felt over there at Carlton. So they have dominated their zone without the, like I said, without the big names. And Yorkshire has been something of a surprise. So this one I find very, very hard to call. But you talk about calling names of friends. Well, one of our very good friends, Kishmar Catlin, is the coach at Carlton. And Louis Layton is also a very good friend of the program and personally. But in this particular case, I'm going to have to stay with Carlton to edge Yorkshire in this semifinal.
Man, it looks as though we can't agree on anything in this show. There's a guy called Jamal Smith. I think they call him Bert?
Jamal Bert Smith.
Yes, and he pretty much was associated with Empire, and he dared to take the Yorkshire side. He's now the coach of Yorkshire, although he's still on the committee at Empire. What amazing thing! And
I know one or two people who didn't take too kindly to that.
He dared to take Yorkshire into Bank Hall and defeat the Empire side, and was able to get home safely. I have great respect for him.
Yeah, there's a saying in Barbados that says only about here.
Only about here. And I remember when they were going to play against Foundation, he said to me, he already has some plans for Davis, the opener who was scoring so many runs. And Davis, I don't think, got too many runs against Yorkshire. Of course, he didn't make plans for, there was another guy who got some runs, got close to a century in that game against Yorkshire. Obviously, he was a little bit under the radar. But Jamal Smith, excellent coach, excellent analyst, and I'm going to back him to lead as player coach the Yorkshire side to an upset win over Carlton. How about that?
Well, like I said, I think it's going to be a very close contest. It's going to be very, very close. So that is why I'm saying I'm picking Carlton to get the edge and the beer edge over Yorkshire.
No, I'm saying all this because I really don't expect to run into John Hippie Griffith, the Carlton score anytime soon, or I wouldn't dare make a statement like that, because I barely suggested that maybe you've got to be very careful when a Foundation was actually playing Carlton, and it suggested that you've got to be very careful with Foundation because they've been chasing down some good scores, even if they're falling short, but they're not a team to be underrated. And John Hippie didn't take kindly to that. But I don't expect to run into him this weekend, so I can boldly say that I will back Yorkshire to take out Carlton.
They may not be visible to the naked eye, but John Hippie watches cricket in blinkers, especially when Carlton is playing.
I think he accepts that, admits that, and I think he's good with that. So you have Carlton over Yorkshire. I have Yorkshire over Carlton, and then we got the big final. That would be the Shield final, wouldn't it be?
Yes, the Shield for intermediate teams. A pity that this game had to be caught up in the midst of the other semifinals, but one would not want to go. We understand the reasoning behind having these games played, the times that they are played. You talk about the reserve days. We've also got a whole season of cricket behind us. There's still so we'll accept what we get here, and this should be the main focus, though, on Saturday, being the only final of the various divisions. And again, we got some friends involved, Philip.
Yep. Yeah, I told Omar, I had a chat with Omar earlier, and I told him to expect you and to be very careful too, because while you may not be doing some commentary, you're going to be doing some writing, and you're going to make notes, and everything he does, says, or whatever is going to be in the paper the next day. So I think he'll be on his guard when he sees you. If he tends to shift, you don't be surprised.
I sometimes prefer, I suspect that he prefers not to see me. He's made an accusation. He's made an accusation of me, which I've never been able to, some words that I uttered some years ago, while the
So he
UWA,
bears grudges? That's what you're saying?
the UWA inter-parish competition, I did utter some words that he has never allowed me to live down. And
those words being?
I think I referred to him as a former player.
Oh, good Lord. Well,
not necessarily a former player. I use the word former in describing him. And as I said, he never allowed me to live down that word. I'm sure if he sees me now, when he sees you and I, he would tell you, this man was trying to retire me now. This is years.
That may explain his reaction when I told him to look for you on Saturday. So Boscobelle against Wonders. We've got, this is going to be purely an emotional pick on my part, really, to be honest, because we've got Omar Phillips on one side. That's what we're talking about, who is here for a short while from Australia, where he's coaching and playing. And on the other side, we've got, obviously, there are a number of players on both sides, but I'm talking about those who we know best. And there's a man called Ricky Clarke, who is the lifeblood, in my opinion, based on my observation, of the Wonders Club.
Yes, he's the
coach, by the way.
Substantive coach. Of course, we know of Ricky's association with Wonders over 2 years, too numerous to mention. As a player originally, and now he has gone into coaching and administration, and as you said, he's become something of a mentor at the Wonders Club.
And a person I respect immensely, but on this occasion, I think I let my emotions get the better of me. Omar spoke to me about the impact that his late mother had in the community, and the fact that she asked him to help the youngsters. And hearing that, really and truly, I can't help but wish all the best to the Boscobelle side. Not meaning anything negative against Wonders, two great sides. But I'm going to lean towards Boscobelle and pick them as the winners for this weekend.
Well, what I can say is that I actually witnessed the Wanderers' victory over Wildy in their semi-final last weekend. And I was somewhat impressed with the Wanderers' approach to the game. They seem to be a well-planned campaign, and one watched them play a game where you saw the plan, you saw it executed. A very young side, I must warn you, Philip, very fit. And I think that was one of the areas in which they outdid an experienced Willie outfit. And no big names as such, but some young men, very, very keen, very hungry, it appears. But the Boscobelle side, again, packed with experience. You talk about Omar Phillips, you talk about Richard Graves, who would have had a long campaign at the highest domestic level, both for Police and also for Maple. I think he also played for Carlton for a little bit. So, and he has been in very good form. And watch out for this name, Philip, Jadeja Edwards. A young cricketer whom I thought that if he really had the ambition and the desire, could perform at a much higher level than the intermediate level domestically. A very, very busy all-round cricketer. And he was very instrumental in the thrilling victory that they pulled off. I'm not so sure if you're aware of it.
Oh, very much.
In the semi-final against Windward.
Very
and
much.
Jadeja Edwards played a very, very key part in that. So watch out for that name, Jadeja Edwards. So after all of that, I am going to go with Boscobelle.
Okay, so we've got Sagicor UWIA versus Wildy at Bayfield. You're going with Sagicor UWI. I'm going with Wildy. Carlton versus IGS Insurance Brokers Yorkshire at Darrow's Road. You're going with Carlton. I'm going with Yorkshire. Wonders versus Boscobelle at Foursquare. You're going with Boscobelle. I'm joining you there. Conrad Hunt versus Cupid Cavaliers at Maxwell. I think you said you're going with Conrad Hunt.
Dear Richards.
Yeah. I have no reason not to back any side that dare to beat Ipswich. So I'm going with Conrad Hunt. BNOC versus Lords at Margaret Hill. I'm going with BNOC. I think you are as well.
Yes, we both chose BNOC.
Then it should be an enjoyable, entertaining, impressive intriguing and compelling weekend of cricket.
I expect it to be.
Well, that's it for Let's Talk T20.